gonna double check. Um, gonna double check. Yeah. All right. It's happening. We're live. Oh my God. You might have just heard myself just now. Um, Hi, hello. I have no clue how many people are going to uh, be watching this actually live, but I figured, hey, you know what? I'm doing this now. Why not just we're doing it live. We gotta do it now. The nominations for the 2026 Oscars are this Thursday. I should have led with, hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of And the Cineweb Goes to. Obviously, we're live. Can you believe it? In the same place I record everything. But yes, I figured that it's, time for the Oscar nominations predictions, and just given the way things, you know, in life have been going and how what time I had to schedule, I was like, figured, well, I'm not going to have enough time to record something, but I can't just not do any nominations predictions. So we're doing it live. We're doing it live. I have, uh, you know, so let me just double check everything. And yeah, because apparently I might need to sign in to actually see if there's anything in the chat. Um, this is my first time, so I'm figuring it out on the go. And I definitely want to make sure I have everything according to plan, or alrighty. Where is my phone? I should be able to just do that to make sure everything is going well. Sorry for the troubleshooting, everyone. I just want to make sure that where is it? Resend it. Where are you? You know, come on. Try another way. Okay. Try another way. Use your passkey. Boom. Come on, do the thing. Half of this is just going to be me troubleshooting, isn't it? Yeah, alright. Alrighty, I think, yeah. Okay. I needed to do that to figure out the chat. Um, okay. Yeah, just, what's the point of doing a live stream if I can't respond to the chat? That is assuming that anyone is going to watch this live, since I didn't get the chance to do a lot of marketing on it. But you know what? Hey, why not? We're doing it live. We're doing it live. And yeah, the 2026 Oscar nominations are finally here, and it's really exciting. It's been 2025, which it still doesn't feel real that we're already in the next year. Was a great year for movies. Uh, on and off for the box office, it seems, because I know like we had some very bad months, but then we had movies like Zootopia 2, Avatar, Lilo and Stitch firing off the box. Minecraft almost made $1 billion. The box office is doing well. And somehow, and then yeah, we're actually getting original movies that actually are doing well. Sinners is was a box office phenomenon. There are a lot of other original movies that made a really big splash this past year, and it's made doing the nominations. It's made the awards race for this year very unpredictable. Um, like obviously, like I have no clue how much the looming purchase of, or the potential purchase, I should say, of Netflix with Warner Brothers will affect the nominations, given how the timing of that announcement with voting. Uh, who knows how much that might affect it? But Warner has had one of their best years ever, both in terms of box office and in terms of just awards movies. Like, you know, I'm going to be bringing up like several Warner Brothers or you know, the whole one of the themes of this awards race is what's going to win Best Picture, One Battle or Sinners. Either way, Warner Brothers is probably going to win. Uh, and given how much they've struggled, given how much every single studio and movie theater has struggled, it's a really interesting time to be a movie fan, especially a fan of the awards race. So I am really excited for this. Have I been able to see every single movie? No, but I've obviously seen quite a lot. And I've still been doing my damnness to keep track of every single movie that's like sort of in the awards race bubble. Um, Whether I've seen it or not, I really would like to see a lot of them. Sometimes it's just tricky. But a lot of this is, even if I haven't seen it or if I have seen it, this is just my predictions on what I think will get in. I've I'm doing my best to try and take out my own sense of like personal bias on what I think should get in, and inevitably some of that's going to slip in. Uh, but this is just very much what I think is going to get in. Uh, and I know there is a lot of room for, I don't want to say error, but like there are like so many categories where it's like I have my five, but then it's like, oh, but that could get in, that could get in, because pretty much every single thing is going to be worthy. Making a movie is hard. Any movie really for getting made deserves an Oscar nomination, except for Morbius. Um, but I think I've done enough rambling. Let's get in a good sip of water. Hydrate, folks. Hydrate, please. Please hydrate. And let me start. I got my iPad here with all the nominations. I doubt you could see it with the screen glare, but let's get this bad boy started with my predictions for the big one. I could start from the bottom going up, but I figured why not just get it started with my predictions for the Oscar nominations for Best Picture. The big one, the one that everyone's going to be thinking about the most, that everybody always thinks about the most, getting a Best Picture nomination. It's Hollywood's way of saying you're one of the best movies of the year. Is it foolproof? Obviously not, but you know what? It still means a lot for any movie to get a Best Picture nomination. And and you know what? A lot of these picks are great movies. A lot of the honorable mentions or even movies that aren't in the race are great movies. So what do we have to lose? So without further ado, I'm rambling. If anybody's been watching this channel, you should know I'm a rambler. So there is no point in tiptoeing that. Alrighty. So for, well, I mean, I already alluded to it, but my number one and number two, honestly, you could probably flip flop them. Similar to like 2 years ago, where like basically Barbie and Oppenheimer were always going to get in, and you could basically just interchange which one was one versus two. I mean, it doesn't matter. These movies are getting a Best Picture nomination. My number one is One Battle After Another, and my number two is Sinners. One Battle After Another has been like, I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson is no stranger to Best Picture and the Oscars. I mean, I know There Will Be Blood did very well, and it is an iconic film. He's an iconic filmmaker, and for many people, One Battle After Another is his masterpiece, which is already saying a lot. And yeah, I might not like to just get my general feelings out of the way. I might not love it as much as like everyone else. That doesn't mean like everyone might be giving it a 10. I'm still an 8.5. Like One Battle After Another, I completely understand and respect all of the praise that has been coming its way. It is an important movie for the times. It's been doing insanely. It's it's in the lead. There's no way it's not the front runner for one of two front runners to win Best Picture right now. It just makes sense. And like jumping off of that, Sinners is my number two for prediction for Best Picture because it's Sinners. Like Sinners has usually when a movie comes out earlier in the year, it's always hard to tell like, oh, is this gonna like, how's this movie gonna play out in the race? And uh obviously um it took it became a phenomenon. It is an original big-ish. I say big because the budget wasn't that big, but an original movie that took the world by storm. Ryan Coogler, I mean, he's one of the best filmmakers working nowadays. If you don't consider that because you don't consider superhero movies some of the best movies out there, you're just that's just very naive and a little pretentious. Um, but like like you know, it's no he's already no stranger to having his movies get nominated for Best Picture. Black Panther got a Best Picture nomination, and Wakanda Forever was very close to getting a Best Picture nomination. A lot of people thought Creed deserved a nomination, and Sinners, it's one of my favorite movies of the year. It's around this place in my personal list of favorites. But I am honestly like it is like One Battle After Another like may still be an important movie, um, but like I think Sinners like getting in, and if it did win, that's more of a statement to show that hey, we want big original movies. Like trust me, I love sequels, but I also we don't get all these sequels if we don't get the original movies to spark all this creativity. Where would we have, you know, anything nowadays without the first Star Wars, the first Indiana Jones, the first Halloween? You have to have original movies. And sometimes you have to have original movies that don't need to be a franchise. And I think Sinners does a lot for that. It is horror, so we're already following up last year's very good year for horror at the Oscars with The Substance doing very well. And yeah, um, some people might not think it's the scariest horror movie. It's not necessarily like a lot of it like is like, but it's still horror. It is objectively horror. Um, and it is one of the most important movies of like this decade, which we're already almost halfway over. That makes me want to throw up. But, Sinners is getting a Best Picture nomination, and I think if it won, it would be a massive deal. My number three prediction for a Best Picture nomination is a movie I think is wonderful. It won the Toronto International Film Festival's People Choice Award, TIFF, obviously. Hamnet. Chloe Zhao is obviously no stranger to this race, nor should she be. She is one of the best filmmakers out there. And Hamnet is wonderful. It's been making all the races. It is like a very quote unquote Oscars packaging movie, but it's also not, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. It is a wonderful movie about a very powerful story that if you remove the name Shakespeare, you would still be as affected. It's wonderful. It is Focus Features. Focus Features is no stranger to this race. I know Chloe Zhao and Yorgos Lanthimos both have shifted from Searchlight with their both previous Oscars movies to Focus, which is interesting. But yeah, it's absolutely number three. It's absolutely getting a nomination. There's no reason it's not. Whether and how many things it'll win um, is hard to say. I mean, last year I think it took a while before the race basically caved all in on Honora. This year it's basically been two ever since one battle after another came out. So basically, like I think like one or two are the only things that really have a strong chance of winning. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything less of the other eight movies. Uh, and Hamnet is absolutely getting in. There's no possible way it's getting in. Especially, I mean, you know, it's going to get Spielberg and Sam Mendes another Oscar nomination because they produced this movie. So it's absolutely getting in. As is my number four, which is Sentimental Value. It is from the same filmmaker, I believe, Joachim Trier, yes, that made The Worst Person in the World. That movie did very well. It is an international feature, and I think one of the biggest ways that the Oscars have grown ever since it started expanding its membership has been the international base. If someone just came to me and goes, if you could only name one thing that the Oscars, like from the last 15 years, only one way that they've changed, it has been international representation, which is always a good thing. The world is full of so much wonder and so much culture, and movies are included with that. God, I'm trying to actually remember what country it was made in. I should have written that down. Please tell me I wrote it down later. International feature. Oh, goody. No, I didn't. That's embarrassing. But regardless, it is absolutely getting a nomination, and I've heard the movie is wonderful. I did not get the chance to see it. I just ended up missing it. But trust me, it is like at the top of my list. I absolutely cannot wait. I've heard wonderful things about this and Worst Person in the World, but obviously, for the sake of this conversation, I don't want to talk too much about movies that didn't come out this year, even though there's so many wonderful movies to talk about. That's all besides the point. It's getting a nomination. It definitely, I believe, did it win the Palme d'Or at Cannes? I can't remember, but it was a big player at Cannes, which I guess with Honora and Parasite has become an even bigger predictor for Best Picture. But regardless, it's getting in. I've heard wonderful things. It's Neon, and Neon are some of the best awards campaigners working right now. They just won off of Honora. They won off of Parasite. They already do well even when they don't win Best Picture. It's getting in. My number five is A24's pony in the race. It is Marty Supreme. It is the second half of the Safdie brothers, Josh Safdie's movies. Because Benny made the Smashing Machine that season. It didn't really make a splash, even if it is a very good movie, in my opinion. But Marty Supreme absolutely did. It very much feels like an epic. It is, I want to say, it is very similar to Uncut Gems in terms of the feel, especially compared to Smashing Machines. I mean, so many people thought Uncut Gems deserved a Best Picture nomination, but 2019 was an insanely competitive year, which is why that didn't get in. But Marty Supreme, you have A24 at the top of their game, which I don't know when they're not at the top of their game. It's just, I mean, it's the complete Oscars package. It's loosely based off a true story. Timothée Chalamet, I have seen this. It is wonderful. It's great. It's now their highest grossing movie in the U.S. That helps a lot. It got a Christmas release. It's been capturing the awards race perfectly, so there's no way it doesn't get in. My number six is another international feature, also from Neon, albeit a very different sector. It Was Just an Accident. A movie that I have not seen, but I've heard, again, wonderful, wonderful things. And if I'm not mistaken, Jafar Panahi, he is still literally arrested by the which government is it? I am, again, forgive me for not having written all this down. There is still so much race to be predicted here. And yeah, yeah, France. But he's like still like, I mean, obviously politics do have an effect. And the fact that he is like currently incarcerated, like wrongly so. I've heard it's a wonderful movie. I still honestly have not really gotten the chance to see it, but from the amount of groundswell momentum that this movie has had, I think it is absolutely getting an Oscar nomination. I've heard it's phenomenal. Like with sentimental value, it is at the top of my list. I'll be seeing it as soon as I possibly can, and I am. There's no way it doesn't get in. Uh, Basically, my seven. I lean eight, but I'll say seven for now. Like my one through seven, which I've already gone through most of them, I think are basically locks to get a Best Picture nomination. I think it was just an accident. It's just it has that kind of package, and again, with a lot of the world global politics going on right now involving around that movie, that definitely lends it a lot of credence. My number seven is it's another genre movie, but it's also like it's one of the Academy's favorite genre darlings in Guillermo del Toro with Frankenstein. Um, it's well, I want to yeah, it's Netflix's biggest movie this season. Like I think like honestly, this movie is just getting an Oscar nomination just from how many craft support it's gonna get because it's a Guillermo del Toro movie. How does it not get a lot of like acclaim and all the like artistry crafts involved with that movie? I haven't had the chance to see it yet. I really wanted to, but Netflix with their damn theatrical release policies like have made it hard. I have to go into the city to be able to see it. But if you made it available to watch for me, I would do it. I mean, you know, yes, I know I can watch it at home, but I'm bad at that. So please release more of your movies in theaters, Netflix. Like, and not just Warner Brothers movies. If you do end up purchasing them, make your own original movies released in theaters. You're gonna make more money off of that. I already gave you money for this. I'm gonna give the Netflix house from uh yeah, that's the thing. Netflix like needs to expand their branches. That's all besides the point. They still know how to do a damn good Oscars campaign. It's Frankenstein. It's a story that we've seen a million adaptations of, but Guillermo del Toro doing one, like, that's always gonna catch eyes, like, you know, and from what I've heard generally good things. I mean, I know some mixed opinions, but it's a Guillermo del Toro film. Nightmare Alley still did incredibly well. It got a Best Picture nomination, and I don't think that was anywhere near as good as Shape of Water. So if that's like, but and which is Nightmare Alley is still a good movie. But that's the thing. Guillermo del Toro is an Academy darling at this point. He won. That's right. He didn't just win for Shape of Water. He won for Pinocchio, which was also a Netflix movie. So, like, it's all the different factors. It's, I mean, it's a classic story. Did the original Frankenstein ever get an Oscar nomination? I can't remember. But I mean, there's no way that Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein isn't getting in. And yes, even though it's like sort of obvious genre representation, but yeah, that means we're getting two horror genre movies this year. That's insane. Like last year, The Substance was already breaking a lot of boundaries because I think before that, the last horror movie we got in was Get Out in 2017. That's almost been 10 years ago. I want to throw up again. But yeah, it makes me really happy to see. And there's a third horror movie that's on the bubble that could very well crack into its race. But this and Sinners are very safe in that regard. Frankenstein is getting in. And at number 8, it is another Netflix movie. It is probably, I don't want to say their other like biggest contender. Obviously, Emilia Perez got a crap ton of nominations last year, so it was like their big juggernaut movie. I don't think there's even I don't even think Frankenstein quite is on that level. But what was I gonna say? But yeah, it probably then helps this movie's case because then they've been able to balance it a little bit. Train Dreams. It is a movie I really don't know that much about, to be honest, but I've been hearing it in this race. Nobody seems to think it's gonna get snubbed. I've heard great things. I know Joel Edgerton. We'll get to that. But It's another movie that has been part of their campaigning. The Academy just likes a nice small movie, and from what I understand, it is very much that. Um, like again, I really haven't seen it, so I really can't comment on its quality, but it's been making all the right things. I'm pretty sure it got a PGA nomination. I don't know what things it's really been missing. At least in terms of Best Picture, obviously it's not going to get as many nominations as Frankenstein, because it doesn't seem like it quite has like that crafts package. And it's not as like a gargantuan movie as like One Battle that's going to get like sweep every single nomination across the board. But there's always going to be those movies that crack into Best Picture that only have like a couple nominations, and I think Train Dreams is probably going to be that. It's of the movies I have listed, I'm pretty sure this is the one I have the least amount of nominations predicted for, um, which obviously that does not indicate a movie's like quality or its potential for winning Best Picture. Coda was nominated for 3 Oscars and it won all 3, including Best Picture, which makes me very happy. But it's obviously not like really like going for that. But the nomination is definitely gonna be the win here, and it seems pretty safe. It is like I think there's a chance it could get snubbed, but from every predictor that I've been seeing, I don't see anybody thinking this movie's going to get snubbed. So neither do I at this point. And then my bottom two that I have basically been frantically switching in and out because I think these slots, and there's still a lot of room for adjustments, but I think that, like, because I think those 8 have been pretty much on most people's lists. Pretty much everyone thinks that those movies are going to get in. I could see Train Dreams getting snubbed, but for the most part, like my 1 through 8, like like if it was before the Academy made it a hard 10, um, like I think those would be the nominees. Um, so the 9 and 10 have been very subject to change as the race has been continuing on. What movies have been gaining momentum? I mean, literally, like the one day I was like, okay, that's my 10. No, wait, that's my 10. That's my 10. That's my 10. And it's been rapidly changing. So these 2 slots are up in the air. I'm not. These ones are going to be the ones that it's like, okay, what takes these 2 slots? Obviously, they list it alphabetically, so we'll know. Like like you kind of start to know if they don't release. You know what I'm saying? But like, so my 9 through 10 are, or my 9 and 10 are the most up in the air. So in my mind, I think this is where the Academy is going. Well, I think the Academy is still gonna, because Sinners is like kind of that huge movie, but also the one that is like such a phenomenon that it's gonna be one that like it was it's so locked into the race. You take out the box office and it doesn't mean a lot. Um, I think these 2 slots are reserved for 2 movies that have been definitely big box office movies with a lot of high quality. One of them has a previous movie that did very well at the Oscars. But I'm going to start off with a movie that is with 9 that is technically an original movie, even though it is based off an IP. But it's an original story around F1. F1, the movie, which I think they changed the title in some ways for that, I guess to make sure that people don't get confused. But that is very much, that's besides the point. I did see this movie. I mean, it is great. It's insanely good. I mean, it's Joseph Kosinski's follow-up to Top Gun Maverick. I think a lot of people's love and support of Top Gun Maverick is going to has already bled into their love of and support of F1. It did insanely well at the box office. It's Apple's biggest movie. It's the biggest sports movie, I think, ever at the box office, which is crazy to me because you'd think sports movies are insanely popular, but I guess, you know, in relative. And it's Brad Pitt's biggest movie ever. And yeah, he's obviously like a big draw. He knows how to produce a movie, even if it doesn't win. Well, he produced 12 Years a Slave, and that got him his first Oscar. not for acting. He produced it. He's an um. That's all besides the point, though. Like F1, like it has like a lot of general appeal. I think for a while I was thinking I don't know if F1's going to get in with some of the other contenders, but the last like couple weeks have like definitely been convincing me that it's been staying in the race. If anything, gaining momentum uh, with a lot of technical love, like global international love, because F1 is a very international sport at Formula One racing. Um, People love Top Gun Maverick, so that love is going to transfer in. It's Apple's biggest movie. Uh, I think it's like again, you asked me a month ago. I'm not sure F1 would have gotten in just because of two of the other big movies. But yeah, I really think F1 has become a contender, not to win, but I definitely think it's in at this point. Which, like, I don't want to say I'm surprised, but just like I thought it was down on the ropes at one point, but no, it really I think made it a bit of a comeback. And then the 10, I kept rotating in or out. Basically, it's one of two really big movies that have already had one, slash have already had their previous movies get a Best Picture nomination, and I kept rotating them in and out. And I was like, okay, for a while, I thought it was going to be this movie, but then I thought, oh, looks like we have someone live. Hello, today is Oscar presentation. No, today is not the Oscar presentation. The nominations come on Thursday morning, I believe at 8:30. And then the Oscars themselves are on the 15th of March, I believe. But yeah, welcome, Shaquila Games. Yay, I have my first chat response. Isn't that so much fun, everyone? Yeah, I shouldn't get distracted. So just to recap, I was doing my Best Picture nominations, and I am right at number 10, where I'm gonna commit because I think this movie is gonna get more crafts nominations than the other big movie contender. And even though it is obviously not as beloved as its predecessor, I think Wicked for Good is still going to get a Best Picture nomination. Again, I still think a lot of it is going to be bleed over from last year, especially with how well Wicked did last year. I mean, obviously, I don't think the critical response hasn't been as good because, I mean, if you've seen the Broadway show, it's pretty much a consistent thing. And that's how I feel about the first act itself. The first half, or the first movie, is wonderful. In the second half, it's not necessarily bad, but it's just not as good. And you know what? That's okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I still really enjoyed Wicked for Good, even if I didn't love it like I did Wicked. And you know what? For a while, I was like thinking, well, maybe because they're doing a two-movie split, I think then maybe it can actually like improve the second act. But they were very faithful, and I guess it's maybe just the nature of the second act of the show. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Really, the thing that pushed this over Avatar for me, which is obviously my first honorable mention, is the fact that I think it's getting more crafts. I think it's going to get more nominations in the crafts categories because Wicked, the first movie, did insanely well in that regard, and I still think should have gotten John M. Chu a nomination. If this movie was as good as Wicked, I think John M. Chu would have gotten in because then they were like, oh, okay, he didn't get in for the first movie, but then we'll give him in for the second movie. But because it's a lot more on the bubble this time because of just, I guess, less love, like, it's not a guarantee, but I still think it's getting in. I think, yeah, it still is done insanely well at the box office. People love Wicked, both sections of it, both Broadway fans and new fans from the movies. People just love the Wizard of Oz lore, so I think a lot of that is gonna lead to Wicked for Good. I think still getting a nomination in, but obviously I do want to just quickly talk about Avatar: Fire and Ash. Honestly, like I really debated. Like for a while, I thought it was just like, okay, well, Avatar and Fire and Ash and Wicked for Good are the big movies getting in, but I think F1 kind of like took that slot, which is because honestly, like I thought like that's the only reason I didn't think F1 would get in because I thought Avatar and Wicked had those slots for good. But yeah, it's very much a case of I don't necessarily think that Avatar Fire and Ash like, which is funny, even though like Wicked still did very well at the box office. Avatar like just it broke $1 billion still. Like no biggie. It's a $1 billion movie. Wicked, I don't believe has become that yet, and I don't think it will at this point. I don't think it's going to make as much as The Way of Water. I think a lot of the reason I don't think Fire and Ash is going to get a guaranteed Best Picture nomination like The Way of Water did is I think now that because The Way of Water was the first Avatar sequel. Whitaker, of course, should be in. Uh, yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. That I think Wicked will get a Best Picture nomination. Uh, and if it alternates with Avatar, Fire and Ash, I also won't be too unexpected because it's Avatar. It's James Cameron. Um, I mean, Avatar is still a phenomenon, whether you like these movies or not. But the thing is, it still does incredibly well. So in the grand scheme, most people really like these movies, especially overseas. Um, but I think a lot of it is just the impact of it's not the first sequel. It's the second sequel. It does a lot of similar things. It's not like groundbreakingly better than Way of Water. Some people like it more. Some people like it less. It seems like it's generally people's least favorite Avatar movie. Even though I know someone that it's they prefer it over Way of Water. Um, but it's I still enjoyed it. I am very much a casual fan of these movies. I mean, I got this pin from Disney for a reason because I do think they're very entertaining movies. They support theaters. They take advantage of theaters in a way nothing else will. It is still obviously going to win a certain category we'll get to later. But that's why it's just somehow on the bubble this time. I think it's just but if it gets nominated, I won't be shocked either. Like again, 9 and 10 are very flexible. So let's get through like those other contenders because you know, are the chances of me being 10 for 10 like let's face it, like like for most people, like well, like nobody's ever going to be like perfect with their nominations. I don't want to say no, nobody's going to be perfect but there's also no reason to like like fret about that. Like, like it's sure it's a competition thing on like, being like, oh, I got him right. I got him right. But you know what? Like I'm going to be, but that's just the fun of predicting. It's just all about this discussion of it. So let me go through the other honorable mentions. No Other Choice is my next honorable mention for a Best Picture nomination. Another international movie. And which is why I really think it has a chance to sneak attack in there because international has sneak attacked a lot in the past. The only reason I don't know if it's going to get in is because it was just an accident and sentimental value are already like basically locks. It's already two international movies guaranteed. It's like 2 years ago when Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall. They were basically part of the race, so they were the two international movies that got in lock and key. Whereas last year, it was the one movie that was always going to get in with Emilia Perez. But then, because of but then the international contingent boosted I'm Still Here into the category, which I'm really glad about because I'm Still Here is a wonderful movie. It's obviously better than Emilia Perez. We don't need to talk about that. But No Other Choice is South Korea's pick. I've heard wonderful, wonderful things. It's definitely getting in an international feature. We'll touch on that later, but it has still a very good shot. I will not be surprised on Thursday morning if I hear this listed. As I won't be surprised with Begonia. It's Yorgos Lanthimos' new movie. I need to see his pre-Poor Things work, but Poor Things made me a fan of him. I actually am like the one guy I feel like that really liked Kinds of Kindness. Like I liked the Twilight Zone-y nature of that movie. And Begonia is also insanely good. I don't like it as much as Poor Things. Uh, uh, yeah, No Other Choice, Think Impossible. Uh, when exists Secret Agent and if you don't add them, that's so interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors. Uh, with the international categories. There's always so much room for change there. But Focus, I think, has still put more eggs into Ham basket. Um, but the Begonia still has a very good shot. It kind of like lost momentum for a little bit after its release, but then it really kind of ramped up. I guess like Focus has done a very good job at campaigning for this movie. It's Emma Stone again. It has a very it's a very Hitchcockian movie, which I think the Academy could like. It's obviously weird, but that's Yorgos, and sometimes the Academy gets weirded out by some things, and they'll never touch that. But then when they like a certain brand of weird, like Poor Things, like with The Shape of Water, then they start to follow those filmmakers and they follow their brand of weird. So they like Yorgos Lanthimos' brand of weird. So it still has a very good shot at getting in, and again, it's not one I'll be shocked to see get in. One I will be not shocked if it gets in. I definitely don't think it has as good of a chance, especially because it's another Warner Brothers movie, and it's another horror movie. It's Weapons. Like, we can't have this discussion of Best Picture and horror getting 2 nominations without Weapons. It got a PJ nomination. It's gotten so much love and so much support. It did, again, another original movie that did insanely well at the box office with a really killer premise. It is insanely good. I think I gave it an 8.5 for my personal rankings, but like again, obviously that's all relative, and it's like, I mean, it was a phenomenon during the summer, um, and and I know it's one that when I watch it, I'm probably gonna like it even more. It is an insanely uh like strong movie, and if it wasn't for the fact that Warner already had uh, the 2 biggest contenders, I think this would probably be able to sneak in. Um, uh, and that's why I'm still mentioning it here because I still think it could. You can't rule it out. And I would be very happy to see Sinners, Frankenstein, and Weapons all getting in. I can't believe like I was always the scaredy cat kid, and then I'm suddenly a big horror fan. Um, that's all besides the point. I'm sure there's going to be other movies, but my last honorable mention for now is The Secret Agent. It's another international contender. Um, Remind me, what is the country? Brazil. It is Brazil's contender for this year. Obviously, they did very well for I'm Still Here last year. I've heard great things. I'm trying to remember the distributor, so I don't. Forgive me for. I think it might be another Neon movie. Which again, sometimes when like a distributor already has like several movies that are gonna get in and get a lot of nominations, like outside of that, it's very much a case of like that definitely takes away from it. But The Secret Agent, like I think, like again as you were pointing out, Shaquilla Games, like still think it has a very strong chance of getting in. Um, let's move on to Best Director. I apologize. I'm not necessarily brief with these things. I know I should be, given how many nominations I have to go through. And I should have reiterated that I am not predicting every single category because I'm going to be honest. I would just be basically writing down whatever Variety, Hollywood Reporter, or whatever outlets predictions for the shorts categories and documentaries, just because I'm really not as familiar with them. I would love to be, but there's, I already have everybody has a busy life, and that's all besides the point. So I'm covering 21 of the 25 categories, but still, that's very much a case of I think there's only so much time, and I wouldn't really have any of my own say. So I don't really want to like make like those kind of judgment calls when I'm really just going to be like basing it off of something like that. And I feel bad about the movies because they have feelings. Okay, so my 1, 2, and 3 for Best Director are going to sound very familiar. Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another. I mean, again, he's already an Academy favorite, but he has yet to win Best Picture or Best Director. He has yet to get an Oscar. And a lot of people think this is like his Oppenheimer kind of moment where it's like, okay, finally he's going to get his due. And at this point, I'm not willing to disagree with him. Ryan Coogler is finally going to get a Best Director nomination for Sinners. I believe he's got his first nomination for Judas and the Black Messiah because he produced that movie. Um, but he's finally going to get a deserved Best Director nomination. I think he would have been deserving for either of the Black Panther movies. I think he was absolutely deserving for Creed. He's one of the best filmmakers out there. I adore Ryan Coogler's work and him as a human being. Every single interview I've seen of him. And if it wasn't for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler would have this race in the bag. He would have this race in the bag. But because One Battle After Another is a very it's just hard to fight it. I think it again the best picture like race between One Battle and Sinners. I think it's since we still haven't even gotten to March yet, I still think that's very up in the air whether it's One Battle or Sinners. At this point, I think Best Director, I think One Battle will definitely get that. Paul Thomas Anderson will win at least one of them, an Oscar for this movie. I would be shocked if he didn't. And I think it will end up being Best Director, Ryan Coogler, but Ryan Coogler could sneak attack. They could do a Best Picture and Director split, which we haven't seen in a couple years. But remember the La La Land Moonlight year where they gave La La Land Director and almost gave that movie Best Picture, obviously. But then it went to Moonlight. Those were the two frontrunners that season, and they did a split. They haven't done that in a while because Power of the Dog won Best Director but didn't win Best Picture. But it was also its only win, ironically, for Director, which is funny because usually Best Director is one of the biggest awards. But that's all besides the point because I think there's still a very good chance for a Best Director split this year. And it could even be Ryan Coogler and then One Battle. That's a very realistic possibility. It's still too early to say, but we just don't know. Where was I? Chloe Zhao for Hamnet is my number 3. Obviously, Chloe Zhao is no stranger to this race. She won for Nomadland, deservedly so. She is such a phenomenal filmmaker. She was and this is a very different movie for her, and she did such a wonderful job directing it. I'm happy she's at least going to get another nomination for this category, and that they're not going to forget a woman this year. That's always a fear in this category. They forgot about Greta Gerwig, even though she's got nominated before for Barbie. But I don't think Chloe Zhao is going to have that same fate for Hamnet, which makes me very happy. Again, Hamnet is one of my favorite movies of the year, right up there with Sinners. Now, my number 4 is Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. Again, a lot of the global politics involved, I think, are what's giving him the edge in this category to get a nomination. But that doesn't necessarily... Again, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't necessarily know whether that makes him deserving or not. But everybody else that has seen this movie has loved this movie. I really don't have heard a bad thing of the bunch. And international, again, the international love spreads far, which is why I think he's absolutely getting in for this movie. And from what I've heard, this is very much a very strong, interesting take with the direction, which is why, to just get to slight spoiler for my number 5, it is not Sentimental Value. I think, I think in terms of the international movies, I think this movie kind of has more of a director's vibe. Sentimental Value, I feel seems like a more writer's movie. Obviously, again, that's a very broad assessment, but I think that's probably how it'll go. I think Jafar will get in for here, and I think Sentimental Value will obviously get a lot more nominations, but will definitely get in for writing, whereas I don't know about It Was Just an Accident for writing. It seems like a very bold directed movie, a very well directed movie from everything I've heard. And again, Jafar Panahi, I hope I'm saying that right. This movie, if he gets a Best Director nomination, that could help him get out of jail. I would love to see that. I don't like seeing people in jail that don't deserve to be. I should say that. There's a lot of people I really like to see in jail. Um, but that is besides the point. My number five is probably those four I'm feeling pretty confident about. The five I think is the one I'm a little bit more up in the air about. So I made a coin toss and I'm going with Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein because it's Guillermo del Toro. He knows how to make a very beautiful movie, and with how many nominations Frankenstein's going to get, the Academy loves del Toro, so I don't necessarily see why you would miss it. The only reason I could see him missing this is that then, because if he misses this category, then I feel like it's definitely going to get a writing nomination, if that makes sense. Because sometimes they like to, like if a movie doesn't get director, then it's definitely going to get into screenplay. And a lot of times, screenplay can be for movies that don't necessarily get a Best Picture nomination either. Um, but Del Toro is a visionary filmmaker. I mean, I've still heard Frankenstein is a very pretty movie, no matter what you think of it. Um, and nobody has a style like Del Toro, so I think that will give that, and Netflix's campaigning will lead him to getting a Best Director nomination. Uh, but who I was very close to giving a nomination for, and I think it's a very, I was really tempted to put this one down because I kind of like the wild card factor of Josh Safdie getting a nomination for Marty Supreme, which is interesting. Um, like it is a very interesting and well directed movie. Marty Supreme has done very well at the circuits, and Josh Safdie, obviously he's not the one that acts. Benny Safdie, like you've seen him in a lot of things probably, as much as you have, his directed movies. Josh Safdie is obviously a lot less like in the press, but people really like what he did with Marty Supreme. It has honestly almost a Godfather-esque feel in certain respects. It's a very well directed movie. He manages to bring a lot of scale to it. There are some very interesting choices that are definitely very well bold. That's the thing. He makes choices. A24 knows how to campaign too, so I think that. Uh, I mean, I will not be shocked if Josh Safdie gets in, and I will probably be happy. And happy. What you know what I'm trying to say. Um, that and it'll almost feel bittersweet that him and his brother couldn't get in as a duo for Uncut Gems or any of the movies they made together. Um, Obviously, they made a director split it, but I'm sure they're still on good terms. I mean, they're brothers, so uh, that's why I still think he has a very good shot. And then the other one I did mention is Joaquin Trier for Sentimental Value. Now, obviously, I don't have it in my predictions list, but will I be shocked if he gets in? No. Will it be shocking if him and Jafar Panahi gets in for Best Director? No. Because it's Sentimental Value is a huge awards movie this race. I've heard it's a wonderful thing. Oh yeah, that's another thing I should mention. I think Jafar, it won Cannes. It was just an accident, so that I know uh, lends a lot of credence to that, especially after how well Nora did with that last year. But yeah, it would not shock me if Joaquin Trier. From what I understand, it seems to be a much more subdued movie, like a very much a melodrama. But that type of directing is important, like with Noah Baumbach. I was blanking on him, but like he has a very like down to earth style directing. But I think it's very much a case of I think I lean towards it was just an accident for that international representation and director, but could both get in or even just walking over him. It's still very possible. So my five for best director are Paul Thomas Anderson, Ryan Coogler, Chloe Zhao, Jafar Panahi, and Guillermo del Toro. I like that five. Um, Now we're going to move on to the acting categories. Some of the big categories that a lot of people are very interested in because they're the faces of these movies. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I always love to spotlight the crafts categories, but will I be? But I love acting too. My number one for best actor, I think he's going to win it this year. I think it's Timothée Chalamet's time for Marty Supreme. I think he was so damn close with Bob Dylan for not one battle after another. What am I saying? A complete unknown last year. I honestly would have been happier if he won over Adrian Brody, who didn't necessarily give a not deserving performance, but out of the performances I saw in that category, I honestly think I liked his the least. And also, he gave the long, like his speech just reeked of very pretentious people, and I don't like pointing like it's rare when pretentiousness bothers me, but like I don't know, like I think that's all besides the point. Timothée Chalamet is one of Hollywood's darlings. He's getting a star on the Walk of Fame. He's one of the biggest stars in the world. On top of the fact that he is a wonderful actor, he, I mean, he gave. Honestly, you could have given him 2 nominations last year for Complete Unknown and Dune. He was phenomenal in Dune Part Two. He's phenomenal in Wonka. There, I said it. Um, and he's phenomenal once again in Marty Supreme. Like, is it just? It's hard to say if it's his best performance because he's so good and he's genuinely very well rounded. He deserves all the fame he gets in my book. Um, yeah, I think Timothée Chalamet is absolutely wonderful in this movie. Um, with they always love those like selfish type characters. And the everyone is rooting for Timothée Chalamet. Like he's been open about the fact that he wants to be a great act, considered one of the greats. Like that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like people don't like the egos, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to be considered one of the greats. Like like who doesn't want to be considered a great artist? And he is a great artist. As is obviously the number two, Leonardo DiCaprio, for One Battle After Another. Now I admit, like he's very good in the movie, but I don't necessarily like. When I saw the movie, like I was like, yeah, Leo's good. Of course, he's always good. But like, and it was kind of surprising to me when a lot of people thought like he had a genuine close chance to winning, because there's so many people in one battle that are like it's such a good ensemble that it's hard to like. And Leo is just like, but yeah, obviously he's great. And for a movie that can be very serious at points, like he like has a lot of like it feels like half of his most memorable moments are insanely funny. He's very good at playing that pathetic type. He's a wonderful actor. He deserves another nomination for the. He's very deserving of the career he's had. And yeah, I think I mean, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. There's no Leonardo DiCaprio getting an Oscar nomination. Who would have thought? So yeah, they're getting in. Timmy and Leo are getting in. Whether they win, well, I think Timothy Chalamet. I don't want to say he's a lock, but I really think he's gonna win. And I know a lot of other people. This category doesn't seem like to be a complete lock yet, but it still, I think Timothée Chalamet is gonna win just because of how much the Academy. Everyone in the world wants to root for a star that actually brings people's butts into seats. I think that's what Timothée Chalamet has over Leo. But Leonardo DiCaprio is still getting it because he's Leonardo DiCaprio. He always is in the conversation whenever he acts. And yeah, he's insanely good in the movie. And my number 3 is the face, or faces, I guess I should say, of Sinners. And it'll be his first time getting an acting nomination, is Michael B. Jordan. The only reason I would have liked to see him not in this category is because I think I would have loved if Warner pulled what Killers of the Flower Moon did a couple years ago and actually put Miles Caton for the lead, because he really is the lead of the movie. Like obviously Michael B. Jordan is the poster child, he's the front billing, and yeah, he is some of the key aspects of the movie. He's he's still like, it's not category fraud to say he's an lead actor, but I really was hoping that they would campaign Miles Caton in this category. But they obviously did Michael B. Jordan, and he's not undeserving. Like, he is a great actor. He gives 2 great performances, which is a very common theme of last year. And I think that and the overall love for Sinners their and the collaboration between him and Ryan Coogler, like they always get some of their best work together. I mean, would I've given him I would have given him a nomination for Creed or for Black Panther. I would not have complained if he ever got those nominations. He's he's just a huge name. People want to see Michael B. Jordan get an Oscar nomination, and I think it's his time. Even if he doesn't get it for this category, guess what? He's going to get it for Best Picture because he produced that movie, which makes me innately happy. Um, I think those three are pretty safe. Um, 4 and 5 are definitely the more up in the air ones. So let's go for number 4, who I think is Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Again, I didn't have this in for my predictions for Best Picture, but The Secret Agent is still it has a very good chance in that category, and it definitely has a lot of momentum in that category. Wagner Moura is a known name in Hollywood. I remember seeing him in Civil War, and he's great in that movie, and I've heard he's great in this movie. Um, like, so I imagine the campaigning will be strong enough. Like, in most acting categories, I feel I'd be shocked if no international representation was at least considered. So, for Best Actor, I think he's definitely the international campaign. And then number 5 is, again, a movie I have not seen, so it's hard to really judge off the performance. But I've heard nothing but wonderful things about Joel Edgerton in Train Dreams, and he is a very good actor. That's the thing. A lot of times when actors get in awards movies that people have always liked for a long time, but then they just haven't made the movie that clicked in the awards race. And then when that does click in the awards race, then they're like, well, yay, we can finally give Wagner Moura a nomination. We can finally give Michael B. Jordan a nomination. We can finally give Joel Edgerton a nomination. And I think that is going to happen this time for Train Dreams. Netflix knows how to campaign. I've heard he's great in the movie. That's why I think he's getting in. My honorable mentions, I have 3 listed. 2 I haven't seen, but 1 I have. So I'm going to go with the first one. A lot of people think he has a very good chance to win for Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. I haven't seen the movie. I know it's Richard Linklater, who's obviously a great filmmaker. Ethan Hawke is obviously a great actor. And I know a lot of people think he has a really strong chance of winning. I wouldn't be upset by that. He hasn't won before, if I'm not mistaken. I just haven't seen the movie, and I think competition's strong, but I won't be shocked if he gets the nomination. It won't be his first, but if he does get in, yeah, he definitely has a chance of winning from all the buzz I've been hearing. Someone who is always fantastic whenever he acts, and he is fantastic in this movie, is Jesse Plemons for Begonia. Again, I think I don't have him in right now, but Begonia has been gaining much more momentum. People love Yorgos Lanthimos' movies. People like how off-kilter Jesse Plemons is, and he's great in the movie. Emma Stone obviously is getting a lot of the attention, especially for shaving her head, but like Jesse Plemons is phenomenal in Begonia, so I will not be upset if he gets a nomination here. And then another international actor who I have as an honorable mention here is Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice. I really can't say much about his career. I admittedly don't know much about it, but I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about No Other Choice. International support is strong, and I think that could lead him to getting a nomination. But for now, my 5 are Timmy for Marty Supreme, Leo for One Battle, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, and Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams. Now let's move on to Best Actress, which is a category, if anything, like I'd say of all the acting categories, I think she may be one. Well, I think there are several locks, but I think Jessie Buckley for Hamnet is lock done deal. I think this race is over. She's phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal in this movie. She's phenomenal in everything she does. But like it's it might be like cliche to give a movie an Oscar. Well, like it's the power of a mother losing her child is very universal. It is one of the biggest pains that any human can ever feel in the history of existence, and she portrays that beautifully in Hamnet. She's always been a wonderful actress. I'm very happy. She seems like she's got that Oscar locked in the bag. But uh, she's it's a done race. I adore Hamnet. I adore Jessie Buckley in this movie. She's getting in. Number two, I have Renata Rensview for Sentimental Value. I know a lot of people are really hoping she would get in for the worst person in the world, and she continued the partnership for this movie. And I think with how much support that movie's been getting, especially since it seems like a melodrama movie, which is like very acting heavy, I very much think that she's definitely getting in for this movie. Best Actress, I feel like has been a race that's been like like shifting around very suddenly, even if Jessie Buckley has been very high at the top. But I see no reason why she wouldn't when she was very close to getting in for the worst person in the world. Um, and I hear Sentimental Value is just as good, if not better. And I hear she's just as wonderful in the movie. So, Best Actress nomination. I think you're getting it. Good job, Renata. Um, as is my number three, who I am so happy. Like, for a while, she was seeming like she was on the bubble. And then when it was seeming like she was pretty safe to get in, it made me so damn happy to see Rose Byrne uh, seeming like an lock for an Oscar nomination for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which is, I think I heard about this movie since Sundance of last year, was when I heard about this. And what I heard was Oscar-worthy work from Rose Byrne, which made me intrigued about it. I was able to actually see this at the Philadelphia Film Festival, which I'm very happy about. And yeah, oh my God, this movie is intense. And like, because Hamnet, there is so much to love about that movie. Even Jessie Buckley, is just absolutely on top of her game. If I Had Legs, and it is a wonderful movie overall, but Rose Byrne is in every scene of that movie. You are locked into her, like, cluster f of a mind, slip, throughout the entire movie. It is such phenomenal work. She is an actress that people adore, and I am very happy to see her seeming like a guarantee. Sure, there's always upsets and snubs, but it seems like, even though the movie isn't going to get the Best Picture nomination, uh, uh, it seems like it just had a very small release in that regard. But I think the support behind her has been undeniable. Out of a lot of the small movies that barely anyone's seen, but we love the actor from it, I think Rose Byrne has the most momentum from those movies in this category. Number four is at this point she's an Oscar darling, and I'm not happy or not unhappy to say that. It's Emma Stone for Begonia, and yeah, she's great in the movie. I mean, it's almost like, yeah, at this point I almost write it off. I don't. I think the reason I'm almost just not as enthusiastic about it is because I adored her performance for Poor Things, and I was really hoping she would win, even though Lily Gladstone has a chance. And then she did win for Poor Things, and she now has two with this and La La Land. She clearly, that Yorgos partnership is just magic. And again, it has a very Hitchcockian feel, and all of that is dependent on her character. And it, again, without giving away, obviously, the is she or is she not an alien movie, you'll be I think you will be satisfied with the answers, but even if not, you're going to, respect and Emma Stone's performance. That's obvious. And then five, I think because the one battle after another wave is going to raise all ships with it, I think Chase Infinity could get in. It's one of those people, she's great in the movie, and so much love is going to the actor, or is in one battle after another. And she obviously plays I guess the crucial, probably the most crucial role in the movie. And she's great. I can't remember if this is her first movie, but it's obviously she's still very much a newcomer in the business. And she's great in the movie. And I think that sort of momentum that one battle is getting for every single thing will push her to getting a nomination. Um, if if there's only one actor getting in for this movie, do I think it's Chase Infinity? I unfortunately don't think so, but also several actors from this movie are getting in, and that love and momentum will probably easily lead to her getting. Well, it's probably going to get her a nomination. Uh, the one that shocked me of how quickly she seemed to fall out of the race, um, even though like it seemed like it was going to be a case of well, both stars are going to get in. Is Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good? I'm shocked she's kind of dropped out of this race. And yeah, I still think she has. In my mind, it's like okay, yeah, she should be a given. Because even though Wicked for Good isn't as strong as its predecessor, like you can't deny the power of the lead performances. And I thought you can't separate them with how crucial their chemistry is, but seems like that might be the case. She is phenomenal in the movie, so I think she still has a very good chance of getting in. I would be happy to see her get in, but it's kind of weird how Wicked for Good has fallen off in this category. Um, Another honorable mention I have written down is a movie that I guess I thought it was going to be more of a generic type of holiday uh, movie, but I've heard it's very good. It's Song Song Blue with Kate Hudson. Uh, I really need to see more of her work outside of Glass Onion, which she's phenomenal in, but I hear she's great in this movie. I hear it has a sad ending, which, uh, uh, and it seems like a very, but I've heard great things about her performance. Obviously, Song Song Blue won't get in for Best Picture. I don't think it quite has that momentum, but she has a very good chance for getting in. And my next honorable mention is a tiny movie like in the awards race. It feels like I haven't it. It didn't really. I feel yeah. I don't think its release has kind of been. Um, it's yeah. I think it's been mostly just the traditional like L.A. and New York release in December, and then it's basically just getting its wide release now. So not a lot of people have really seen this movie, and it seems like a very niche movie in general. But Amanda Seyfried for the Testament of Anne Lee. Uh, I don't know if you're watching Timmy Kandra, my friend, freshman your roommate's brother. Uh, he loves this movie. And and Amanda Seyfried is a terrific actor. I think it's playing in 35 millimeter at the Philly Film Society right now. If I get the chance, I'd love to see it there. But if not, I think it's coming to AMC's and Regal soon. So I will definitely make sure to see this movie. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. So my five for Best Actress are Jessie Buckley, Renata Rensby, Rose Byrne, Emma Stone, Chase Infinity. All right, we're getting through. I know, have I been doing this for an hour and 13 minutes? Yes. But if you've been watching the channel, I don't know how to keep things brief. So let's just keep the train going with supporting actor. With number one, seems like he's a lock to win at this point, which makes me very happy because I've loved him for as long as I've seen him in movies, and I've been seeing him in movies since I was 10 with the Avengers movies. It's Stellan Skarsgård for sentimental value. I've heard he's phenomenal in this movie. He somehow has not gotten an Oscar nomination before, which that alone makes him a guarantee to get a nomination because it's like, how the hell has Stellan Skarsgård not gotten an Oscar nomination? But from everything I've heard in the movie, he's phenomenal. It seems like he's winning most predecessor categories. He won the Golden Globe, which I don't really like the Golden Globes, but that's still a precursor. It seems like he has all the momentum in his favor. Or, funny enough, supporting actor seems like a category where all five seem pretty set at this point. Where there's not going to be too many surprises unless one of these guys aren't included. In that case, it'll be a surprise. But that makes it. My number two is Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, who at one point I heard he might win. He might actually be the front runner to win. I think Stellan Skarsgård is basically God at this point, but I wouldn't blame them for. Sean Penn seems like an interesting human being, but as an actor in this movie, he's phenomenal. He did steal the show for me. I mean, Colonel Lockjaw is an incredibly memorable new villain. Uh, uh, like not a lot of times like even like Oscar-y type movies like don't necessarily need to have like a villain, but like he is a terrifying, terrifying individual. He is phenomenal in this film. It makes all the sense in the world. Like he's like that's a character. Like I don't know how much I'm gonna remember when I see Sentimental Values, like the performance or the character. I'm probably gonna think of the performance more. I remember the character of Colonel Lockjaw, and that is large in part to Sean Penn. Three, I have Paul Mescal for Hamnet, or you could easily give him a Best Actor nomination, but it does slightly lean towards, uh, supporting actor for a guy playing Shakespeare. But Paul Mescal has gotten a nomination for After Sun, which I still need to see. Part of me doesn't really happen, but he is phenomenal in this movie. Some of the these key scenes do not work if you do not believe him as William Shakespeare in a way that doesn't really show like William Shakespeare to be the most like it doesn't show him as the like it's not a movie about William Shakespeare, it's a movie about his family very much but he is phenomenal in the movie. You remove the fact that he's playing Shakespeare, he's like extraordinary, and the scene the scene where he's performing uh in the play of Hamlet towards the end. Like I think it's such beautiful work. He does beautiful work in this movie. I'm going to be very happy to see him get in. I don't. I think I forgot to write him down, but if Jacob B. Duke also got a nomination for this movie, because I haven't seen a kid actor or get in, but and I don't think he's getting in over Paul Mescal. But if he and Paul got in, that would be insane, and I would be so happy about that. Jacob B. Duke is wonderful in this movie. Like give kid actors more attention. They get so much crap in their lives, but they deserve so much love. My number 4 is kind of an interesting oddball one, but he seems pretty safe. A lot of it seems like a lot of the love is the reason he might get a nomination is because the traditional he had to sit in the chair for the makeup for however many hours or whatever. But from what I've heard, Jacob Elordi is phenomenal in Frankenstein. I know there's an alternate reality where it's Andrew Garfield that played this role, but I do like Jacob Elordi as an actor. He's phenomenal in Saltburn and Priscilla. He kind of had those two back to back. I haven't seen Euphoria, but I know he's a big part of that show. He's just seems like a genuinely talented individual. I don't know, like how he is as a person compared to a lot of these other people, but it doesn't necessarily matter. Like it seems like Frankenstein doesn't seem to be getting a ton of consideration in the acting categories, but from what I've heard, he is phenomenal as the creature in that film. So, again, all 5 of these seem pretty safe. And then another safe one is another actor from One Battle After Another is Benicio del Toro from One Battle After Another. It's an obviously different performance, and Sean Penn is Colonel Lockjaw. And courage, Bob, courage. It is the fact that he has some of the most memorable moments in the movie. He's just very good at playing. He kind of is a comedic relief in the movie. He's just very solid, and he's always great in whatever he does. I think, in my mind, I would think that Sean Penn would be the one to nominate over the two, but I know a lot of people that would rather give it to Benicio with how much the precursors he's getting. But either way, it seems like they're both safe to get in. The only reason I have him further down is because I think Sean Penn, if you had to flip a coin, I think he's the one that would get snubbed. And, I suppose I would like to see another actor from another movie in this category, but One Battle has absolutely the ensemble to support 2 acting categories. To go over some of the honorable mentions, I mentioned Jacob B. Duke. He's a long shot, but I would love that. A big honorable mention is The Sandman, Adam Sandler. Jay Kelly, obviously, is a very different movie than Uncut Gems, which almost got him a nomination. It's a Noah Baumbach movie. I forgot to mention George Clooney for Best Actor. Jay Kelly, I've heard, it's good, but, very much, seems like nothing groundbreaking. But uh, especially compared to Marriage Story. But uh, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about Adam Sandler in this movie. When Adam Sandler wants to be a top-notch actor, like he can be a top-notch actor, and if he gets his first Oscar nomination with this movie, I'm gonna be happy. Everyone who, even if you don't love all of Adam Sandler's movies, which I don't, he has so much schlock, but the nuggets of gold there are wonderful. And I heard Jake Kelly, at least for performance, is another nugget of gold. And then my other honorable mentions that I just kind of grouped both of the Sinners considerations together for this. Delroy Lindo and or Miles Caden. I would adore if both of them got in or one of them got in. Delroy Lindo should have gotten in for Da 5 Bloods. He's phenomenal in that movie, and he's great in this movie. If you gave me a choice between the two, I would definitely lean towards Miles Caton. I mean, Miles Caton is the star of the movie. He's phenomenal in the movie. The movie doesn't work if you don't believe him. The "I lied to you" scene alone, I think that's like a that scene makes you go want to give Sinners all the Oscars, and by proxy, you want to give it to him. I unfortunately don't think either of them quite have the momentum for this category, especially just because of how set all five of these actors seem to be. Um, but, I definitely need to bring these people up because they still have a shot. Everyone always has a chance. So my five predictions are Stellan Skarsgård, Sean Penn, Paul Mescal, Jacob Elordi, and Benicio del Toro for Best Supporting Actor. Now, Best Supporting Actress is very interesting because it, even before this movie gained more momentum overall, uh, it feels like one of those movies where people saw this performance in the movie and thought she's getting in, and now at this point, she seems like a guarantee to win, which makes me insanely happy for a genre movie performance for an older woman like older actresses don't always get a lot of love. I mean, older women in general don't get as much love as they deserve. Uh, but my number one for supporting actress is Amy Madigan for Weapons. You can't tell me you don't remember Aunt Gladys after you watch that movie. You can't tell me you don't understand, see, well, you can, I just am going to disagree with you. Uh, but uh, she's phenomenal in that movie. It seems like she's run away with this category, which makes me all the happier. And Weapons is a great movie. With a lot of really good performances. And you really don't get all. It's one of those supporting performances you really don't see that much of. But she has such a memorable energy. There's a reason she's a memorable character that people couldn't take their eyes off of when watching this movie. So that's why she's getting in. Don't mind me eating a gummy worm while we're doing this. Juicy. I'm sorry. My next prediction is another actor from Wicked for Good, getting another nomination for their character is Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. I mean, where I remember like when it was first coming out, Wicked for Good, like a lot of people said, where she was like such the bright, like the bigger like Glinda moments in Wicked for Good, she is so subdued. Like the subtleties with Ariana Grande's performance are extraordinary, and I think are absolutely deserving of her getting another nomination for playing this character. And if it wasn't for how much Amy Madigan has seemed to run away with it, I think she would be running away with it too. I thought she should have won over Zoe Saldana last year, although I'm obviously happy Zoe Saldana has an Oscar. Amelia Perez is besides the point, even though I actually didn't hate that movie. That's besides the point. My number three is this category's one battle actor, and there's still obviously another chance this category gets two one battle actresses. But for now, Tiana Taylor, like she's was phenomenal in the movie. She's not in the whole movie. It's again a very supporting performance in that regard, but the parts of the movie she's in are extraordinary. It's you completely understand like why they trusted her with this role. Obviously it's like she obviously has a background in music, so them going to her for a key acting performance of this, and Presidia is just extraordinary in the movie. In so many regards, this movie doesn't work if she's not good. Even though she's not in it the whole time, it doesn't work if you don't believe that character. Um, and that's why she's getting in. I think those three are pretty safe in my mind. My number four, I'm very, very happy. She kind of got a lot of last moment momentum from Sinners, is Wunmi Mosaku. Uh, she's phenomenal. Like I'm glad she's getting a lot of attention for this movie. I mean, I know like at one point I saw like a video that said they thought Haley Steinfeld could get in. I'm sorry, my spit got all over the place. I was just pulling a Jonathan Groff moment. But like, and I would love if Haley Steinfeld got in too. But Wunmi Mosaku definitely has like the soul of like Sinners. Like she like you, oh my God, she's phenomenal in Loki, which is what I know her from mainly. But like the scene she's in this movie, you're like, she is wonderful. Like you love that character. And you like when the shit starts to go down, when the vampires start coming in, you don't want anything bad to happen to her. I'm obviously not going to say what happens to anyone, but uh, that's not a Wunmi Mosaku gives a phenomenal performance here. Uh, like and like a lot of the heart of the movie too. Uh, so she's I think she seems pretty safe, not a lock I'd say, because she kind of like came out of nowhere in terms of the momentum for this category, and obviously she doesn't have the name of Ariana Grande or some other actors uh, for this category, but um, I'm going to be very happy if she does get in, and I obviously think she is. Um, and my fifth pick is an actress I really don't know much about, but every single trade I've read has predicted Nat Ella Fanning for sentimental value, although she obviously still has a very good chance. It's Inga Ibsdottir Lilias. I hope I'm saying that right. It's what country is sentimental value from again? It's a Norwegian. I'm guessing she's definitely one of the more Norwegian actors in that movie. I've heard. Yeah, I really don't know much about her performance. But sentimental value. I mean, I've heard nothing but great things, and international support in the Academy is so big. I never discount international love, especially for international actors. Whereas Elle Fanning is obviously an American actor in an international feature, which is why I think she gets the edge. To go over some of the honorable mentions, uh, I floated writing down. God, why am I completely blanking on her name? Oh my God. It's the a supporting actress, Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know why I was blanking over her, but if I had to choose between one actor from Marty Supreme getting a Best Supporting Actress nomination, I actually would give it to Odessa Azion. She's great in the movie. Like, I really don't know much about her background before this movie, but like I'm gonna be watching her career from now on. Obviously, Gwyneth Paltrow has a chance because she's Gwyneth Paltrow, and she is great in the movie. But I think it's definitely a case where I think Odessa Azion, like she gets more of the attention in this movie for me. Like, and I think people like to just reward younger, newer actors when they have standout roles amongst bigger, really big stars. Obviously, Elle Fanning has a chance as well. And I feel like there was one I forgot to jot down. Odessa, Ariana. Yeah, Regina Hall, obviously, for One Battle After Another, has a very good chance of getting in. Uh, and I think then I basically covers everyone. And then yeah, I forgot to bring up in Best Actor, The Rock. I've grown to like him a lot less as a person, but he does give an Oscar worthy performance. So that could still lead to him getting a nomination. Emily Blunt, everybody loves her for The Smashing Machine. If I thought The Rock was a lock, I think Emily Blunt's chances would be a lot higher. But I'm not gonna. But because of that, I'm not necessarily gonna Sorry, I'm just adjusting things. Yeah, but I'm not necessarily like you never discount Emily Blunt. So my supporting actress nominations are Amy Madigan for Weapons, Ariana Grande, or I guess she's credited in this movie as Ariana Grande, Butera for Wicked for Good, Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another, Wunmi Mosaku, and finally Inga Itsatsu, Sentimental Value. um, Now we're on to the screenplay categories. Uh, I have listed here original first, so I'm gonna just start with that. Um, and then I hopefully after these categories I'll start to go quicker, but I don't know how to be quick about these types of things. My number one, and I think he's probably gonna win because of the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson probably has director, so they're gonna reward Ryan Coogler for this movie for something. Ryan Coogler for Sinners. You can't say it's not an original idea, and he does. He's obviously a phenomenal director, and I think of his directing more, but he's obviously a phenomenal writer too. Um, such a phenomenal script, uh, and I'm trying to remember who else if he wrote this movie with anyone else, but obviously there's still very like people adore Sinners. Yeah, it's just Ryan Coogler that wrote this movie, um, and people like want to reward Ryan Coogler for this movie because people love Ryan Coogler, as do I. So I think like that's probably gonna make him get it. Like I guess if he was like the lock for and I would love if he won for screenplay and directing. Uh, but I will take original screenplay. For him winning for that. Uh, it's getting it. It's Sinners. You can't say Sinners is an original. It's an original movie that uh, broke grounds. People want to reward that. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once, like people like loved that movie because it was an completely original movie. Uh, and that's why I think Sinners has got it. Sentimental Value I have next. It seems like a very writing heavy movie. Again, I mentioned I think Jafar Panahi is a guarantee for. Well, I think he has a lot of momentum for directing. For Not just an accident. Seems like Joachim Trier and Eskil Vogt have a lot more momentum for screenplay in this category, and it seems like a very writing heavy movie. I've heard it's a phenomenal movie. I need to see it, obviously. Number three, if Josh Shafty doesn't get in for directing, he at least has Marty Supreme in. It has such a unique energy and flair. For a movie that's almost 3 hours, it does go by very quickly, and there are some insanely memorable moments in the movie, and Marty Supreme is getting a lot of nominations, so that's why it's getting in for this category, I think. Number four, and from this point on, I'm going to movies that I don't think are getting Best Picture nominations, but obviously a lot of times the screenplay categories can be where you reward movies that aren't always in the Best Picture. Like they might not get a Best Picture nomination, but Sing Sing got in for screenplay. Knives Out got in for screenplay, even if they get in the Best Picture, and that's where I think Weapons definitely gets in here. Zach Krieger wrote an insanely original script. It has a lot of momentum in this category. Uh, has such a distinct style, obviously completely based off of different perspectives, and some like with Weapons had such like all the marketing was centered around that hook, and when there's always that hook, that mystery of like what happened to these kids, like you really go, is the answer going to be satisfying? It is. It is a movie that really does keep you guessing the whole way through. You go, it's like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? As like you see one character, you can't. It's undeniable. It's Weapons is like it's wholly original. It's insanely well written, which is why I think it's getting a nomination in this category, which makes me happy. And then number five, I have not seen this movie, but this is where but I've seen so many lists that have this as a lock for a screenplay. It seems like a righty type movie. Is Blue Moon? Robert Capello. I'm sure I know his other work. Let me double check on that. Again, I really need to do more research on some of these. Oh, me and Orson Welles. Yeah, seems like a very uh, uh, like a history writer. People seem to really like Blue Moon. Again, I haven't seen it yet. I believe it's the Sony movie. It's Sony Classics' biggest movie this season. So that's probably why it's definitely. And it's. I don't think Blue Moon's gonna get in for Best Picture. It might get in for Best Actor, but it seems like a. That's why I have it in as five. And then other honorable mentions are The Secret Agent. It's another international contender. Jay Kelly. You never discount Noah Baumbach. And the people that do really like Jay Kelly really do like Jay Kelly. And it's the biggest movie about movies movie this season. And then Is This Thing On? I've heard it's. Uh, oh, wait, what am I saying? Is This Thing On? I have seen that movie. It's Bradley Cooper. I adore Bradley Cooper's movies. Um, It's This Thing On is obviously a much smaller movie in scale compared to um, uh, what's it called? A Star is Born and Maestro, but it has a very strong script. Like every single character and like dialogue, you can just watch characters just talk about coffee in that movie, and you'd be fascinated. And it would get Will Arnett an acting nomination too. I'd love it if he also got an actor nomination because he is fantastic in that movie. So is Laura Dern. I would be very happy. And then, yeah, and I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, it was just an accident. Yeah, it is also an original screenplay. So I think it's definitely, uh, you can't discount it. You know, I think it's getting director over screenplay, but you can't get discount either movie's getting both. Let's move on to adapted screenplay. I'm gonna start just going quicker because I need to just, you know, like if you're all staying for me rambling for feature length, thank you. Okay, adapted screenplay. Okay, let me just re-list screenplay because they're still the big categories in my mind. Sinners, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme Weapons, and Blue Moon are my predictions for original screenplay. Mark it. All right, let's move on to the adapted screenplay. The nominees, I think, will be One Battle After Another. Obvious. It's getting in. Even if it doesn't win, it's getting in. And I personally would, like, I completely understand him winning for a director, which is why I kind of wanted to go for something else for adapted screenplay. But, you know, but obviously I also know I'm slightly less on the One Battle train as a lot of other people, even if I still find it to be an insanely good movie. And it is very well written and very timely. It's based off a book, I believe. And yeah, you can't discount it for winning. But it's absolutely getting in, as is my number two. And I hope this movie wins for screenplay. And then it would mean Chloe Zhao has another Oscar under her belt with Hamnet. It's a beautifully written movie with just very touching, subtle moments and like the subtleties and the way that the characters interact and the way things are paced. Obviously, Chloe Zhao's vision is extraordinary. And I believe she also co-wrote it with the writer of the book, which I think is really cool. Whenever for adaptations of books or any other pieces of media, when the creator is on there, and it doesn't just feel like they're limiting it. So I'd be very happy. I think this is the one I'm personally rooting for to win. And it's obviously my number two, so it has a very good chance. My number three is Train Dreams, which I'm trying to remember what is Train Dreams based off of. I can't remember what it is based off of, but it's probably a book. But I've heard great things. Again, and it seems like a very writing movie, from everything I understand, very atmospheric, which you would think actually would be directing. And I think I've heard great things about the cinematography. Too, but like a lot of that you need to write that into the screenplay. Movie with a lot of texture to it. It seems very safe for this category. Again, like it might not get a lot of nominations, but a screenplay nomination always helps. It's always a big indicator. My number four is Begonia. Again, I don't think it's gonna quite get in there for Best Picture, but it has enough momentum. People love Yorgos. It seems like it's a very interesting adaptation of the film that it was based off of. And yeah, you cannot. Well, Yorgos didn't write the movie. Will Tracy did, and I think that's also the case for Poor Things. But it is a very memorable script. Again, very Hitchcockian, and I think people will like that vibe. And my number five, this is one I'm rooting for. I know it's lost a lot of momentum, even though as one person, as Perry pointed out in the uh, FYC for your consideration video, Netflix has done all the right things to get Wake Up Dead Man, Ryan Johnson's third nomination for this series, but for some reason, people, I guess it maybe just like people have already like loved Knives Out and loved Glass Onion, at least in the Academy. I know a lot of casual viewers don't like Glass Onion as much, which I find crazy. Um, but Wake Up Dead Man to me is just as one. These movies are all like phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Wake Up Dead Man is no exception. But a lot of people think it doesn't quite have the momentum in this category, which like kind of shocks me. Um, and I wrestled whether I speak with my heart or my gut, because I admit like my gut is saying it's not looking good. But I'm going with my heart, and people really love what Ryan Johnson has done with these movies, and obviously these movies don't work without the script. Um, so I want these movies screenplay books, please. Um, my honorable mentions are Frankenstein. Duh. You can't discount Guillermo for that. Uh, Again, because it's obviously an adaptation of historied, story material. Mary Shelley just has a very interesting story. Uh, and then what else did I have here? No Other Choice. Can't doubt No Other Choice. I trying to remember what it's an adaptation of, but like international love always persists. So that could very easily sneak in here. Um, and I'm gonna shoot out a movie that it's my favorite movie of last year, even though it won TIFF the previous year. But Neon, they botched the release for The Life of Chuck, which is Mike Flanagan's adaptation of a Stephen King story, which is not unusual for him, but it's unusual in the fact that it's not horror from Mike Flanagan or a Stephen King horror story, but it's just such an existential. I love The Life of Chuck, but Neon, I guess they kind of pulled what A24 did with Sing Sing last year, where it did very well in the seasons prior, but then had it released in the summer after, which then the timing of that was just so strange that then it missed out on the race after, except worse. The Life of Chuck seems to kind of have fallen off a cliff, which makes me very sad, but there's enough people that really do love it. So it's a dark horse. My five for adapted screenplay again are One Battle After Another, Hamnet, Train Dreams, Begonia, and Wake Up Dead Man. And I'm going to give this category like its dues because it is a new category, the first new category I can think of since the time I've been watching the Oscars, and not like condensing a category or like rearranging the categories. No, this category is just outright new. Is one that people have been wanting for years. I would have liked to see stunts first, but we're still getting that in a couple years. But this is going to be the first year we have the Oscar for Best Casting, which is wildly interesting because, like how do you determine casting? I think a lot of it will come down to how much people like the ensemble and how much people think that like, ooh, that's a really good choice for that person, and like like picking like actors that like feel so authentic and filling out that world on top of obviously the big names in these movies. And this one did get a short list. So there are only so many options for the contenders. So my number one is Sinners. I think this is gonna. I think it'll probably win this category because Sinners has such a wild range with its ensemble, such a talented group, and like makes very good choices. Like there's so many small characters that have like a memorable. I remember I remember Jack O'Connell. I remember obviously Michael B. Miles Caton is a discovery of a century. Wumi Musaku, Delroy Lindo, Jack O'Connell. I was just watching an interview with Perlene's actress. She's from the Batman. Like, it has such a great ensemble. Like, every single character in that movie you really love. Like, Um, like every, like from, like you can think of just, you know, they engross you into that world wholeheartedly, and that's why Sinners is probably going to win the first ever Oscar for best casting. But One Battle After Another obviously has a very good ensemble too. A very like wide range, especially with a lot of crowds. So I feel like a movie with a lot of different like crowds are gonna, or just like a lot of like big scenes where you have to cast not just obviously the big actors, but a lot of the small background actors. Um, like those movies are probably going to be key. Sinners probably has obviously has a lot of that, and so does One Battle After Another. Yeah, it has obviously a very good chance to win this. I can't. I, I mean, I'm really not familiar with casting um, as much in terms of the people that will get the nominations for it. Cassandra Kulu Kakundas or something like that. Uh, uh, Obviously, you can't doubt One Battle's chances of winning any category. It's getting in for casting. Uh, as is Marty Supreme, which is the number 3 for this category, because I think that movie makes some fascinating. Honestly, casting Shark Tank guy in this movie alone makes it worthy, but it just has so many like good picks, like in categories and actors. So yeah, you really can't blame uh, them for like it has such an interesting cast. Uh, I mean, and it makes choices with who it's cast. Outside of obviously, and Timothy Chalamet is obviously well cast. Everyone in this movie is great. Um, so I'm gonna go for next because it's another ensemble and a lot. I think this movie has the benefit in casting that it's a musical, and I feel like they're gonna give a lot of credit because then they need to cast actors that can do the choreography with Wicked for Good. Um, Again, it might not have quite the strong as big love for first movie, but to some extent, you're always going to get, you know, because even though they casted Ariana Grande first, but they build it together, like that's a good. The casting choices I think are great. I love Jeff Goldblum as a wizard, but the ensembles are, I think, what are going to get Wicked for Good a nomination in this category. And then 5, it was part of the short list, and those 4 I feel pretty safe on. But 5, I actually think Weapons bring it back again. I think Weapons because obviously like you need like to have like someone key to play Aunt Gladys. Casting that's got to be tricky. Casting Josh, well, I think Josh Brolin actually produced, but Julia Garner, Alden Ehrenreich, they're great picks for those characters. But I think the big thing that gets it in this movie is the kids, especially the main kid that gets his own segment in the movie. Because I'm sure casting kid actors is always a strenuous process, but all those kids in that movie are great. Even though you obviously see little of them, but just the casting in Weapons, I think is insanely memorable, and the fact that I saw that on the short list, I think for this category helps it. So those are my 5 for casting, and then a couple honorable mentions are a couple of the usual contenders that I've been bringing up: Hamnet, Sentimental Value, and Frankenstein. Obviously, can't really think of any distinct points to make about those, so I'm just going to move on. But yeah, like I could see any of those getting in, and I'll be happy for any movie that gets in here because it's the first time we're getting a Best Casting Oscar. That's cool. All right, let's move on to the pretty category. It's cinematography, and if Sinners doesn't win this category, with how Ryan Coogler helped advertise on different formats, and did like the 70 millimeter to IMAX, which no movie I think has ever like tried to make it that distinct, but he pulls it off with Sinners. And obviously he didn't even do the cinematography. That honor goes to I Love You Next Best Picture for having all these names listed with the movies. Goes to cinematography. Autumn Old Arkapaw. Which would that make it a? Let's see, Arnold Autumn. I mean, I assume that's a woman. Autumn. I don't think I've seen that. Yeah, that she's a female cinematographer. That like I don't female cinematographers are especially rare, and I can't think of it of the time years I've been watching the Oscars. I can't think of many women that have won that category, if any. I don't know. But it's Sinners. It's gorgeous. Um, this so it's just yeah, obvious. And another obvious one is One Battle After Another. Um, it has a very good scope. I believe it uses VistaVision, which I think lends a lot to it. Let's see. Michael Ballman. Know I recognize the name, but I'd have to look him up. Uh, I think he's extra. One Battle had great cinematography. And VistaVision I think helps. People want to reward neat things like that in cinematography. Movies that take advantage of the format, which is why a lot of times cinematography can be a good category for bigger movies to sneak in. As is my number three, which I'm shocked that it's not number three or two or one on everyone's lists, is F1. Um, I'm going to assume that's the same cinematographer as Top Gun Maverick, as other Joseph Kosinski films. Um, yeah, same one as Top Gun Maverick. He's doing Star Wars, a Starfighter. Uh, he's Top Gun Maverick not getting cinematography was obviously shocking with the way, because it's one thing to have like the cameras hooked onto the planes or in this case the cars. It's one thing for it to also look good, and it does look good. Obviously, Vroom Vroom movies, as Ford v Ferrari proves, do very well in crafts, which is why I think F1 is probably going to get in. And I also see a lot of people maybe in a cinematography branch go be upset that Top Gun Maverick got snubbed last time, so they're going to reward this because it's a very similar brand and feel. Yeah, do. I don't know what I'm doing there. Another director that always knows how to make things pretty, and obviously that goes to a cinematographer as well, is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Again, I haven't seen it yet. I would have loved to see it on a big screen, but I'm sure Dan Laustsen did such a great job, and Guillermo del Toro movies always look gorgeous. They have such a wonderful color palette. You always have to give props to the cinematography, so I think that'll lead it to getting in. And then five, since I really don't know much about this movie, I'm going off of word of mouth. But Train Dreams, everybody seems to think Train Dreams has such phenomenal cinematography. So I'm going to give that the edge here. This is another category that was shortlisted, I remember. So the pool of, uh, uh, of options are a little bit slimmer here. But the honorable mentions I've listed are Sound of Falling, which I believe is an international feature. Bukonia. Yorgos movies are very distinct. It's 4:3, so people like the gimmicks. One that I forgot to mention Jennifer Lawrence for Best Actress, but I really enjoyed Die My Love. It has such a distinct look. Um, I I thought like it kind of was like off the bubble for a lot of the races, especially it seems very divisive amongst a lot of people. I mean, I know two people that walked out when I saw that movie, but you can't deny the cinematography of that movie. Lynn Ramsey knows how to shoot a movie. Her cinematographer is obviously very talented, and that's why I would love to see her get in, even if I don't think she will. And then right next under that is Marty Supreme. That movie looked very good. Going to move on to another technical category with Best Editing. The first three are the same, albeit a slightly different order. One Battle After Another, which is a grand scope epic, a lot of different storylines. I think that's probably why it's going to win editing. I don't feel as strongly about this winning editing as I do this or Honora or Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've had usually whenever it goes to predicting the winners, I usually have a bad track record with predicting editing, so I really just need to go with my gut because I thought Honora was going to win, but then I got convinced Conclave was going to win. That's all besides the point. One Battle is getting in. So is Sinners. That's a terrifically edited movie, especially with the musical sequences. I think that, I mean, those movies are getting into everything, so it's going to get into editing. Then F1 is uh, a lot of like, I'm thinking Ford v Ferrari. They like movies that have such good technical qualities. Like racing seems like a very difficult thing to capture in the edit, so I think that'll lead to F1 getting a nomination for this category. Yeah, other people have that predicted too. Um, then Marty Supreme, it's another longer epic type of thing, so I think that'll lead to it getting a nomination. And then at five, I have Hamnet because it's a gorgeous movie. The editing is great, and Chloe Zhao most of the time does her own editing. I believe she co-edited this one, I believe, but I'm not gonna. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna be disappointed if she gets. And then the honorable mentions I have are Sentimental Value and Frankenstein. I don't think this is a category that was shortlisted, so there's a little bit more wild card factor. But you know, I'm gonna. Excuse me. I'm gonna stick to those as my five. Production design. Here's where we're gonna get a lot of Frankenstein love. Frankenstein is my one. It's a Guillermo del Toro movie. You can tell what if you just walked onto a set, you didn't know what movie, who was shooting, or what movie it was. You could probably guess it was Guillermo del Toro's set. Um, and it's probably going to be no different for it is no different for Frankenstein. I'm sure of that. I've been trying to avoid a lot of the trailers and clips or whatever because I still haven't seen it and I obviously want to. So, like, I know I'm going to see it. But yeah, that's obviously going to get in. My number two is what won last year, and I think it's deservedly so. I think they might give it to Frankenstein this time to give it to something else. But Wicked for Good. The production design in Wicked won, like, the library alone. Like, I was like, yes. The second I saw that, I was like, give this movie production design. And it won production design. I was like, yes, please, thank you. That's why it's my number two. It's definitely getting in. Again, even though Wicked has lost a lot of momentum for Best Picture, the crafts categories, it's pretty safe. Sinners is another great movie. This is kind of getting to the point where I'm like having less to say about that because like what hasn't been said about Sinners. Four, because the world building in these movies are key, and even though the production design might not be obvious from the standpoint of how many real sets are they on, you need to still design what it looks like, which is why Avatar: Fire and Ash I think has Way of Water still got in for this. So I think it has a very good chance to get in here because it's Pandora. Pandora is it's the reason why these movies have blown up so much, why people want to explore this world, go to Disney for, it might not be the better Avatar, Blue People one, not as good as Flaming Hot Man. That's a very simple logic I hold in my mind. But that's why I think Fire and Ash is getting into this category. Plus, a lot of big movies tend to do very well here. And then Hamnet, because it's a movie that has obviously a lot of because of the nature of it being a movie focused on Shakespearean times and the idea of Shakespeare. It's interesting how even before you get to the performances of Hamlet on stage, a lot of them feel like theatrical sets, but with enough cinematic flair. It's very cool. I remember what each of the buildings look like. So let's go into some of the honorable mentions. Marty Supreme, another one. The Testament of Anne Lee. Seems like a very it's a period piece. Obviously, period pieces do very well. And I was very happy to see this as number 7 on Next Best Pictures list. So if this got in after it got snubbed in some of the shortlist for VFX and score, I would be so happy to see the Fantastic Four get in for this category. I mean, obviously, with the retro 60s futuristic look, that lends a lot of credence. I loved Fantastic Four so much. Since it was not on the short list for VFX and score, which I think are complete bull crap, especially score and especially well visual effects too, like the black hole sequence. I'm gonna that's my Fantastic Four rant. Like it because of that, and because I guess people still think that has a chance, even if people still have Marvel fatigue. Um, I don't think they can discredit how awesome the Fantastic Four first steps is like visually, in terms of just the world design. I mean, it's the Jetsons, but that's my prediction for production design. Moving on to hair and makeup, nominees are Frankenstein, duh, obvious, and that's probably going to win because of the amount of makeup they had to do for Jacob Elordi. Um, Wicked for Good, obvious. It didn't win last year for The Substance, or because of The Substance being obviously the front runner to win that category. So it still has a chance because it didn't win that category last year, which it probably would have if The Substance didn't exist. Um, but I think Frankenstein still has a very good chance. Sinners, has great makeup and a lot of times, I guess with any vampire movie, and it's probably another reason Nosferatu did very well. You have to make sure the blood looks good and believable, and also it's a period piece. So period pieces do well in hair and makeup. Marty Supreme. I know that apparently Timothy Chalamet doesn't have acne scarring, so people like that. They showed that he has acne scarring. And then 5, I do think the Smashing Machine can get in. I've seen it on enough of the predictions lists, and you can still see The Rock in there, but it is a very good transformation, which is why I think it'll probably get in for that. It's one area where even if the movie didn't make as quite a big of a splash, hair and makeup will probably send that some love. And then honorable mention, One Battle After Another. I do remember there was some pretty memorable makeup later on in the movie. And what else? Yeah, a number of things that I'm not familiar with when I was just looking at a couple other options. Costume design, Frankenstein, Wicked for Good, Sinners. I think Frankenstein will probably win. It's both period piece and Del Toro. Seems like a safe bet. Wicked for Good, Paul Tazwell obviously won last year, and I believe he was the first black man to win that category, which is awesome. And it could very well win because a lot of times, I didn't think Wakanda Forever would win again for since it had already won for costume design before, but then it did. So you can never discount sequels winning 2 times for costume design. Sinners, speaking of, Ruth E. Carter did a great job. It's a period piece designs. A lot of the Blade costumes, from what I understand, when they thought Blade was going to be a period piece, which I find interesting. Hamnet, it's another period piece, albeit with less of a genre flair compared to Sinners and Frankenstein. And then a lot of times hair and makeup and costume, they can sneak in a movie that not a lot of people have seen, but people really like the costumes. Hedda, I believe that's a period piece. It was on a lot of people's lists. I know it's Nia DaCosta, and I really like her work. I like the Marvels. Shut up. It could get in there. Other options, I included One Battle because because Leo's outfit is very memorable, and there are a lot of other memorable outfits in the movie. Testament of Anne Lee, it's another period piece. And then Kiss of the Spider Woman, which kind of fell off. I know it was like an early contender, but that kind of fell off. But it is a musical, and it's supposed to have a very good look, and it's still on a lot of people's precursor lists, so it still has a shot. Best sound, Sinners, because it is a movie, not just a big movie, but it is a movie about music, and how can you do a movie about music without nominating the sound? F1, Vroom Vroom movie, go good. I think, I could see Sinners or F1 winning this. F1, the only reason I would say Sinners over F1 is because it's Sinners. But F1 obviously has a very good chance. And Top Gun Maverick won for this category a couple years ago. Avatar Fire and Ash also got nominated a couple years ago. Again, a lot of times with movies with very technical worlds, they always like to give sound a good nomination. The Wild Robot got in. Like you need to craft the world, and you need to do that from a sensory perspective. So not just what you see, but what you hear. One Battle After Another has some. Um, I'm just kind of grouping that in. And Wicked for Good. It's a musical. You can never doubt musicals. You have to make sure the sound's good. Honorable mentions, Sirat. It's the first time mentioning that movie. It's an international contender. I really don't know too much about what the context of the movie is, but it seems like it was on the short list. These are short list categories. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, Dead Reckoning got in, which is interesting that, well, even though the movie bombed at the box office, I think a lot of the love from Top Gun Maverick carried into that. So then it could carry on to The Final Reckoning, even though well, it's funny for a movie that made almost $500 million dollars and it was considered a flop because of how big the budget was. It's, definitely compared to the last couple of Mission Impossibles, not as good, but you can never deny the quality of the Mission Impossible movies from a sound perspective. And then Superman. It's another big movie. I'll bring it up in another second. We're going to visual effects. This is Avatar's category to lose. That's no surprise. These movies like change the ground for visual effects, and they will never not like you think that the Na'vi are real things. You completely buy that everything is real. It's like, and people and VFX often loves good motion capture. Sinners, because it's again Sinners, and has a lot of really good subtle effects in terms of just like they a lot of times the VFX category like subtleties, which is why I think F1 also is going to get it in because they like just subtle effects of the things that like you can't that are like less obvious in like big CG movies. But to get to a big CG movie, but one that looked great, is Superman. I also loved Superman. I only give I give Fantastic Four the edge, but I still loved Superman. And obviously I would think Fantastic Four would get in this category, but it didn't make the goddamn short list. The Thing alone should have gotten in. The Black Hole sequence should have gotten in. Galactus looked amazing, but it's not eligible, which is unfortunate. And then Wicked for Good, because it got in last year. And then honorable mentions, I wrote Sinners twice. I wrote that in honorable mentions too. God, I must have been tired when I wrote that down. And then Tron Ares. I obviously the Tron movies look fantastic. They obviously have always had a very niche appeal. I'm a very big fan. I've grown up loving Tron Legacy, so I was very happy to see a new Tron movie, and I think that I would be happy because for some reason the first Tron in the 80s they considered it ineligible for VFX because they considered computers cheating at the time. Wouldn't they be laughing now? But yeah, apparently Legacy didn't get in for VFX either, which is odd. But the thing holding Tron Ares back is how big it bombed. But it was still in the short list, so you can't discount it. We're moving on to original song, which I guess I wrote down before animated feature because, I Wish I Lied to You. That's my number 2. It's not my number 1 because when I first saw Sinners and I saw I Lied to You, I was like, oh, that song's winning. That sequence is one of the best sequences I've seen on film. But Golden became not just, from K-pop Demon Hunters, became not just a memorable movie song, but a pop culture phenomenon, period. It's like broken Grammy charts, whatever. People love K-pop Demon Hunters. So, unfortunately, I really would love if I Lied to You won this, but I won't deny that. And, I've heard it, so a lot of times with the song categories, I wait to listen to them until the nominations come out or until I see the movies, but you couldn't escape Golden. And K-pop Demon Hunters was a phenomenon. So, it's going to win, but obviously I Lied to You is getting a nomination. If it was a different year for song, Girl in the Bubble, I think would win, because a lot of times when I think, oh, okay, it's a musical based off a Broadway thing, but they're adding original songs for the movie, it would probably get in. And of the two Wicked for Good songs, I lean towards Girl in the Bubble. That song is really touching. Gives Ariana Grande such a sweet moment. Um, uh, and then what I have written down is insert Diane Warren song here. It doesn't matter what kind of movie she writes a song for. She's always going to get in. She'll never win, but she'll always get in. This time, though, it seems like it's a documentary on her, Diane Warren Relentless. She's the John Williams in this category, but except the fact that she hasn't won, which I find funny, um, especially given the fact that she'll never seem to win. If she couldn't beat Amelia Perez, she can't beat anything. Um, and then five, you know what? I'm gonna give it actually this one. I'm gonna give a personal edge to for As Alive as You Need to Be from Tron Ares. Again, the movie bombed, but like after Daft Punk did Tron Legacy, people like kind of associate Tron with like interesting music choices, and As Alive as You Need to Be is a great song. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are already Academy darlings. They have two Oscars under their belt with The Social Network and uh, Soul. But and they should have gotten the nomination for challengers, and if they did, I honestly think they should have won. But it's not even, it's going to be under Nine Inch Nails, their whole band, the thing that got them started in music, not just film music, but music. Um, and it's a great song. I really love the song, and the score is great too. Um, uh, so I think there's a chance that they might reward them here, but obviously it's because Tron Ares is not as huge of a contender. It's like maybe not as uh, notable, but it made the short list, so it is a possibility. And then let's see, what else do I have here? There's a song from Train Dreams. Apparently, that's supposed to be good. Come See Me in the Good Light. And Sinners also had another wonderful song. I would be just as happy to see I Lied to You and Last Time I Seen the Sun, because the credits drop with that song is phenomenal. And a lot of times, great credits drop song ends up getting in. Um, well, let's move on to score, where I think I think a lot of it, because I think Golden has taken so much of the spotlight for best song. I think then in music they're going to share it with if Golden's going to take it for there, then they're at least going to reward Sinners in some respect with the music for Ludwig Göransson. I mean, I listened to the score less than this compared to Oppenheimer and Black Panther because I listened to the songs more, but he also did the score and the music for those songs. You can't, Ludwig Göransson is a musical genius, and you can't, and anytime he does a movie, I am so excited to hear his music. And he's doing The Odyssey and Mandalorian and Grogu this year. He's probably going to win again for Sinners, and I'm very happy. I don't mind him having 3 Oscars under his belt. But I suppose One Battle After Another could sneak up on him. That's my number 2. Because a lot of times score, they can go with oddball picks. Johnny Greenwood. I don't think he's won yet, but he often gets nominated. And One Battle After Another has a very memorable score. It got memed a lot, I remember. Max Richter for Hamnet is my next guess because they always, and it is a very touching score. The rendition of the one song that he does at the end that I'm blanking on the name of, but even before that, the score is really lovely and really beautiful in the Hamnet. 4, it's one I haven't seen yet, but Frankenstein, it's Alexander Desplat. I love his work. A lot of times I think the Academy will give him a nomination just because it's Alexander Desplat, but I'm also not going to complain about that. He always does great work. I'm looking forward to hearing what he did with Frankenstein. And then next up I have Marty Supreme, because it's Marty Supreme. It did have a good score from what I remember. I just don't remember it as much, but it seems to have enough momentum in this category. Surat has another good chance. Hans Zimmer, even though he got snubbed for Dune Part 2 was considered ineligible last year, which I think is ridiculous. But he's eligible for F1. So sure, I'm never going to complain about seeing Hans Zimmer win another Oscar. Begonia, Yorgos's composer seems to be very, very good. And Train Dreams has Bryce Dessner. He's a very good composer. Um, and again, I'm going to insert me being upset that the Fantastic Four wasn't eligible for this category. Out of the three Marvel movies, like Son Lux did Thunderbolts, Michael Giacchino did Fantastic Four, was advertising it a whole year in advance, and yet they went with in the short list, Brave New World got a nomination, and I don't dislike the score in that movie. Laura Kaufman's excellent. But of the three, I'm surprised that's the Marvel movie that got in the short list. But that's besides the point. Let's move on to, oh God, what am I? Ah, yes. Animated feature. A category that I always love. I love animation. Yet I haven't seen the top contender because K-pop Demon Hunters, it dropped on Netflix and then became an absolute phenomenon. It's a Netflix movie, but Sony Animation did it, and I love Sony Animation at this point. I really wish they won for Across the Spider-Verse 2. I'm still salty about that. I will always be salty when Spider-Man doesn't win. But Sony has made a very good pairing with Netflix, and K-pop Demon Hunters has become a phenomenon. Like everything I've seen of the movie, the animation looks terrific. Sony Animation has become surprisingly one of the biggest and best animation studios working today in Hollywood. Which so I never discount them. I loved Mitchells versus the Machines. I think that should have won that year over Encanto. This year, I haven't seen K-pop Demon Hunters, but I'm not gonna. I need to see it soon. I really do. I don't know if I should see it in theaters if they do another sing-along release. But those things, they got Netflix their first box office thing. Please do more theatrical releases, Netflix. I really need to get a move on. Number 2 is one of the biggest movies, now the biggest U.S. animated movie of all time, Zootopia 2. Wow. Like, it's like, how did it, sorry, that gummy has been staring at me the whole night. Obviously, it's Disney animation. You can never doubt Disney. Zootopia won last time, and because at least of how big Zootopia is in the U.S. and especially overseas, like, by God, that movie is huge in China. It's getting a whole land in their Disney. And Zootopia 2 is awesome. I loved Zootopia 1. Zootopia 2 is basically on the same level. Don't know what I would prefer because I have spent almost 10 years watching Zootopia 1. And I haven't had the chance to see Zootopia 2 a second time. But it's getting in. As is, I think, at some point, it seemed like it wasn't going to get in because it did much worse than Zootopia at the box office. This movie bombed, but it's another Disney movie, albeit under not Disney Animation, but Pixar. Elio. I believe it tied K-pop Demon Hunters at the Annies, which I think is what gave it a boost in momentum. I loved Elio. I think that movie did not deserve to bomb. I adore Pixar to the ends of the earth. I think Disney failed the marketing with that movie because they apparently, even though Sinners has proven that like original movies can do well, and Elemental did very well even after opening poorly. So original animation can still do well in theaters, but for some reason they just didn't give Elio the support, and for some reason, unlike Elemental, the word of mouth just didn't catch on. I think it just got caught up between, it was right next to Lilo and Stitch. I don't know. Support original animation. The other two I really don't know too much about, but Arco, I believe Neon produces that movie. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard it's great, so I'd love to see it. And then the next one I have, because it seems like a lot of the precursor lists had these 5. Little Amelie or the Character of Rain. That's a G-Kids. It's an Japanese film. I don't believe it's Studio Ghibli. But I love Japanese anime. It's a lot easier for me to get into anime movies versus shows, which compared to even just regular TV, can get so long. But those are my 5. And I guess I'm surprised I didn't see Niza 2 on a lot of lists because that movie is now one of the highest grossing movies of all time, from China alone. But and I believe it released last year in the States. So I'm surprised I didn't see that on a lot of lists, but I didn't. So I probably won't get in because of that. Uh, but my other honorable mentions are the Demon Slayer movie. Demon Slayer always did what does well at the box office. And apparently, people actually think that has a chance for animated feature, which I think is fascinating. Another movie I've heard of I haven't really heard much of, In Your Dreams. Um, and you know what? DreamWorks, after they were very close to winning last year with The Wild Robot, The Bad Guys 2, I've heard such good things about The Bad Guys 1. The only reason that didn't get in is because Puss in Boots that year. But then I've heard The Bad Guys 2 is great. So, wouldn't be complain if that got in. And last, but certainly not least for me, is international feature. With a lot of movies that we've already gone over, or now, it's funny. I don't like a fall. I have a better grip on international feature compared to documentary feature. Uh, Even though I still haven't seen any of these movies, but I have a better grasp on that category because of how much I've heard of the one and two, which it is. I'm really not sure what will win between an international feature between Sentimental Value and It Was Just an Accident, because it was a really tough, like, between Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest. Well, Anatomy of a Fall wasn't the contender for France that year, which is shocking, but it still got in. For a lot of categories. That's just always the weird thing with that. Um, but that's besides the point. Sentimental Value and It Was Just an Accident are ranked 1 and 2. I'm not sure which I think will win. I would say Sentimental Value because I think it's probably going to get more nominations. But It Was Just an Accident also is a huge contender, as is No Other Choice, as is The Secret Agent. Like, those movies have a strong chance of getting a Best Picture nomination. Sentimental and It Was Just an Accident, I don't see missing, but No Other Choice and The Secret Agent still have great chances, and they're definitely getting into this category. And 5, I have Surat. I really don't know too much about it, but I've heard great things. It's Spain's film. And again, it was on the short list for a couple of the other categories. But that about wraps it up. Like, for my lists, a lot of Warner Brothers has come back and then some. Uh, you know, and it's which is just ironic that they might get bought out and yet they're gonna win Best Picture. Um, I mean, they wanted to sell. I think David Zaslav might have been tanking the company to intentionally get a sell so that he could get a high payout on the way out the door, which I think is very scummy. It just irks me. Um, but regardless, 2025 was another great year of movies. I am looking forward to seeing how many of these nominations are right on Thursday morning. Thankfully, I at least have 8:30. You poor people on the West Coast, I'm so sorry you have to get up that early. Maybe it'll be me someday. Um, but that'll do it for my first ever live stream uh, of for this channel and the Cineweb Goes to. For anyone that watched this live, I want to thank you for watching. I uh, I have I had someone type in the chat, which I'm gonna take that as a win. And then the VOD should be posted after the fact. So, uh, thank you all for watching. It means I have to do a lot less editing for doing this live. If you liked this I know I need to get a lot better about being consistent with spinning the Cineweb, but if you like my videos, the videos that, and I'd love to make this a bigger platform for not just me, but for other fans of film, TV, and media, or in gaming, everything in between. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna repeat that again. Well, hopefully I'll be able to post something on my actual reactions to nominations, whether that's another YouTube video or a TikTok or even just story posts or what have you. But You know where to find me on socials at this point. And yeah, uh, stay safe, everyone. Um, and I gotta catch up on some of these movies. I really need to. If what I predict for Best Picture gets in, I'll have seen 6 of 10. I've had better years. But either way, like, and sure, are all of them gonna click? No, but I'm just here for good movies, man. Have a good night. Stay safe. Trans lives matter. Black lives matter. Uh, uh, F ice. All of the, may the force be with you. Always,